So we're going to be covering the Bear Claws build today, and it is a super fun time. I love how erratic and crazy the moveset is, and it is definitely one of the weapons that the higher skill cap you have, the better you are going to do with this weapon, because there are some pitfalls which we are going to talk about in this video. There are no spoilers in this video, and the bosses that you are seeing here are reused assets from the base game, so you shouldn't have any issues. But with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into the video. Now, I've been playing the DLC pretty much exclusively now with the Bear Claws and the build that I'm using right now. There are going to be two separate options you can use when it comes to talismans, because we are going to be having some talismans that are better for mobs and some talismans that are going to be much better for bosses, which we will both go over in this video. I will give you everything that you need to know, Flask, talismans, everything, so let's go ahead and jump right into the weapon, its acquisition, and the good and bad. So first and foremost, the Beast Claws can be found at the very beginning of the game. The second that you get to the Gravesite Plain Site of Grace, which is your first Grace site, you are going to head to this location on the map. Once there, you are going to have to find an NPC who's roaming around. All you need to do is kill him, and he's going to drop these Beast Claws for you. Now, he can be a little bit of a challenge, considering you won't have any Skadu Tree fragments the second you get into the DLC, and the Beast Claws moveset is very erratic, allowing you to get rocked if you're not careful. But I used a stagger build on him and took him out immediately, so it wasn't too big of an issue. So let's go ahead and talk about the shining attributes of this weapon. Savage Claws is why this weapon stands out, because you can pour out an incredible amount of damage with that Ash of War. However, there is one massive drawback. If you do not look for the windows of opportunity in which the boss is not hitting you, or in which you're not going to get knocked out of this Ash of War, then you are going to have a really hard time with this weapon. The Beast Claws reward the playstyle of looking for those windows of opportunity in which you can get your attacks off, or which you can manipulate the moveset to dodge attacks before you actually hit your enemy. For example, the charged R2 will duck you down to crouch, and then you can jump onto your opponent. This is going to allow some bosses to swing directly over you. It really rewards a playstyle that's based on agility and constantly moving around so your enemy can't catch you. However, once you master that, you will be completely untouchable. The attack of this weapon is 197 plus 197, and it is infusible with any affinity or greases that you so choose. In some of these clips, you will see me put frost on the build, and other clips you'll see me put fire, but overall I landed on blood loss because these can build up blood decently fast. The attribute scaling is going to be strength B, dexterity D, and arcane D with a blood affinity on the Savage Claw Ash of War. Its attributes required are 13 strength and 11 dex, and overall this is just going to be a really fun weapon for you to play with, and it is pretty viable in the majority of the DLC, at least the portions that I've been in. Now, as far as the actual talismans of the build, here's where things are going to get a little bit interesting. As I said before, you use two separate sets of talismans, one for fighting mobs and one for fighting bosses. The one for fighting mobs is what you're going to see now on the screen, and that's the Shard of Alexander, the Lord of Blood's Exaltation, the Crusade Insignia, as well as the Rottenwing Sword Insignia. So let me tell you the reason we're using all these talismans. First and foremost, the Shard of Alexander is going to increase the damage of Savage Claws by 15%, and considering that's one of the main avenues of damage we're going to be using, we definitely want to add this talisman. The Lord of Blood's Exaltation is going to proc on blood loss, giving us a 20% extra increase in attack power anytime blood loss is in the vicinity. I would use the white mask with this build as well. However, right now the armor set I have equipped looks incredible, but if you do want the extra 10% attack power boost from the white mask, you could definitely add that to this build. For talisman slot number 3, we are using the Crusade Insignia. The reason being is anytime you kill an enemy, you are going to get a 15% increase in attack power boost for 20 seconds. This works really well because you can constantly keep this effect up, especially if you're going through a camp or fighting a bunch of minor enemies to get from point A to point B. The reason this doesn't work with bosses is pretty self-explanatory. It won't proc until after you kill the boss, which is pretty useless. And our last talisman is going to be the Rottenwing Sword Insignia. This is also going to boost our attack power with successive attacks, and between the normal light attacks and the Savage Claw Ash of War, our successive attacks are going to be pouring out like crazy. The Rottenwing Sword Insignia is going to boost your attack power by 13%, which is going to stack on top of all our other attack power boosts that we currently have in these talismans. Now, where things are going to change is when you go into a boss fight, equip the Millicent's Prosthesis instead of the Crusade Insignia. This talisman will proc during the entire fight, and it will give you an 11% increase in your attack power, which is going to stack with the Rottenwing Sword Insignia, the Lord of Blood's Exaltation, and if you're wearing the white mask, it will also stack with that. Now, in order to find each one of these talismans, the Shard of Alexander will be at the end of Alexander's questline, and I will leave that linked down in the description below. The Lord of Blood's exaltation is going to be found in the Lindell catacombs within the capital after you defeat that boss right here on the map. The Crusade insignia is going to be found in the Bellyrat Tower settlement after you defeat the invader Fire Knight Quaylene. And both the Rotwing Sword insignia and Milson's prosthesis will be acquired at the end of Milson's questline. However, you can only pick one, so it does require New Game Plus. I do have a video for that questline though, and I will also leave that next to Alexander's questline down in the description. Also guys, I do want to thank you so much for watching this far into the video. If you've not subscribed yet and you're finding value in the video and the channel, make sure to subscribe and hit that bell notification so you can know when we're making more videos. I have a ton of videos coming out every single day, all week, every day. So with that being said, thank you again, and let's get into the rest of the video. Now, as far as the armor I'm wearing, I have most of the Rakshasa set on, and that's going to give me 2% damage increase for every single piece that I have, so I'm getting overall 6% damage increase. However, I am going to be increasing my damage taken with this, so just be very careful, and you do not have to use this set if you find you are taking too much damage. The Rakshasa set can be located in the Eastern Nameless Mausoleum dungeon, and this guy is incredibly hard to kill, but once you do, it's definitely worth it. Now, as far as the helm, you're going to start at the Highland Road Cross and run up directly to the right into this pool, and there's going to be a giant rune bear there. Kill him and that pelt will be yours. Now, when it comes to the Flask of Wonders physic, we are using 2 tiers to complement the build very well. Since we have a lot of successive attacks, it's obvious that we need to use the Thorny Crack tier. This is going to temporarily boost your attack power on successive attacks by 20%, and when all of these talisman and this flask get going together, you just start pouring out damage because your attack power is boosted so high. Next up, we have the Strength Not Crystal tier, and this is going to temporarily boost your strength by 10. Considering we are doing a strength build here at level 150, this definitely gets us to the 80 strength hard cap, which overall allows us to pour out a little bit more damage. Now, if you want to snag the Strength Not Crystal tier, it is at the very beginning of the game in Limgrave, located right here on the map. And if you want the Thorny Crack tier, it will be dropped much later in the game within the Consecrated Snowfields after you kill the Putrid Avatar located right here on the map. And lastly, let's go over the buffs and the stats for the build. I currently put 25 faith in this build just so I could use Flame Grant Me Strength and Golden Vow. Having that extra 15% damage negation as well as 35% increased physical damage, in my opinion, is definitely worth the 25 faith. But if you find that you'd rather put it in Endurance or Vigor or somewhere different in the build, that is definitely a viable option for you. Now, for the stats of the build, I'm rocking 60 Vigor, 9 Mind, 25 Endurance, 70 Strength, 13 Dexterity, 7 Intelligence, 25 Faith, and 20 Arcane. I'm sure if you wanted to, this could be min-max just a little bit more, but overall, I've had a lot of fun playing with this build, and I think it will serve you guys well, especially walking through the DLC. And guys, there you have it. That is going to be it for the Bear Claws build. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I had a ton of fun playing with this build, and I've used it all the way up until almost the final boss of the game, and I feel like it's been a pretty decent build for me overall. Like I said, you could probably do some min-maxing on this and create something that's a little bit better, but I really hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure to subscribe on your way out, and until next time, stay safe, enjoy the game, and I'll see you in the next one.